In episode 7, Smoke and Steel, Joe's got some splaining to do. He shows Janet the hidden monitors and starts painting most of them over. Janet is upset that Joe didn't tell her about them earlier, but Joe says he kept quiet to protect her. She doesn't buy it and demands that he help them escape, but Joe warns her that he was also kidnapped, but in the same situation as everyone else now. When she asks why he and the others are holding them captive, Joe insists it's for good reasons. Janet fills the others in, explaining Joe's claim that their captors have been abducting people for 50 years. Joe then comes down and tells them the whole program works like a think tank, dedicated to peace and progress. They gather data and make bets on people who might have a big influence on the world. Joe insists it's all for a good cause, but the others aren't convinced. Bill punches him and storms off, saying they're all fools if they believe Joe. Later, Joe heads to the command center to see Tom and asks why he let him in. Tom warns him that he's not just risking his own life, but everyone else's too, because their superiors might wipe out the whole town, including Tom. He also tells Joe that Janet will dump him the second they escape, but Joe doesn't believe it. At the hotel bar, Bill pours drinks for everyone and suggests they could use Joe as a hostage. Janet points out that they're all hostages and reminds him of their failed attempt when they tried to take the night manager hostage. She insists Joe isn't the enemy, but Erica wonders how Janet can still defend him. Erica even hints that Janet might be in love with Joe, warning the group that none of them are safe until Joe is dealt with. Everyone is starting to get suspicious about Janet, but she insists she's on their side. That night, Joe meets with Cameron at the Shanghai Palace. Cameron tells Joe he doesn't need to get back to his wife because he's already dead. After he was abducted, he saw it as positive, thinking the kidnappers would kill him too, and he didn't mind. Cameron, who's worth $80 million, offers to get Joe anything he wants if Joe helps him escape, but Joe just walks away. Meanwhile, in Italy, Kat and Jermaine sit at a cafe and we see Kat flip-flop yet again when she says she's never felt more alive and wants to get to the bottom of the case. Pick a lane, Kat. They meet Stefano and show him a photo of Janet, Shannon, and Joe that Jermaine got from Franklin. They think if they can ID Joe, they'll find Shannon. As they go over a list of people abducted the same day as Janet and Shannon, the police show up outside. They slip out the back and split up. Stefano warns them not to use anything traceable, but the police catch him and his henchmen. Back in town, the lights flicker and Janet runs outside to find Erica and Bill pushing Joe into the pain guns. When Janet tries to intervene, Bill almost shoves her in too, but Erica knocks him aside. The others arrive and tell Joe to turn the field off, but Joe insists he can't. As proof, he deliberately walks into the field. Janet finally pulls him out, and Joe asks for a chance to prove himself. Bill and Erica agree but warn him that he's on a short leash. Later, Janet confronts Joe, asking what they should do next. She tells him everyone else wants him dead and admits she's not sure who he is anymore. Maybe it's because he looks like Wade Wilson, am I right? She shares a tender moment with Joe, which is so unbelievable, even for this show. They look like they're about to kiss, but suddenly Janet leaves. In Italy, Jermaine and Kat are being followed. They run into a park and bump into an old man in a wheelchair, but he and his nurse pull out guns and take them away. Erica and Janet break into Joe's room, searching for clues. Erica finds a sketch Joe drew of Janet, and the second-hand embarrassment is palpable. Janet insists they leave. Jermaine and Kat are taken to Franklin, who says he saved them from the men who were following them at the park. He reveals his wife and daughter were kidnapped by a secret organization he worked for 30 years. He tells them he used to be a nobody before the group recruited him and how they've been controlling him ever since. Franklin warns them that if the organization finds out he's talking to them, they'll all be dead within a week. He mentions one person, Dr. Angela Barragan, who managed to escape the program and is now working at a hospital in South America. He wishes them luck finding her and leaves. Back in Joe's room, Janet discovers a hidden compartment with files on all of them, including photos, psychiatrist notes, and dental records. There's also detailed information on the others. In the command center, Tom watches as the captives escort Joe, now cuffed, to the jail. Despite Joe's objections, they lock him up. Janet leaves with the others and turns off the lights. Janet apparently was okay with the kidnapping and lying, but taking her dental records was going too far, and she's had it. Janet later finds Erica reading through the files. They realize Cameron and Moira are missing and go to find them. Bill, left behind, reads his file and realizes Erica saw it too, learning that he ran a halfway house for parolees. Bill insists the parolees wanted to rejoin society, but Erica knows he blackmailed them. She promises not to tell anyone but demands a favor in return. Bill agrees. Moira comes in and reads her file, feeling like her life's a failure. Erica reassures her that it's nothing compared to what's in Chadwick Boseman's file and whispers something to him. When Chadwick Boseman enters with Cameron, mean girl Erica says she'll tell Moira the rest later. Moira, shaken, leaves, and Chadwick Boseman goes after her, admitting the file says he killed people for money. Moira walks away. Cameron later visits Joe in jail and gives him a bottle of cherry Coke because cherry is apparently one of his character traits now. Joe insists the files were planted by his superiors, and Cameron says he believes him, as if that would somehow exonerate him. He tells Joe that he needs to help him escape, and when Joe agrees, Cameron frees him. As they head down the street, Tom confronts them with a gun and tells Cameron to make like a tree and leave. He tells Joe that he's going to be red-carded and reveals that the program saved his life. Joe reminds Tom that they both once wanted to change the world, but wonders if Tom's really willing to kill him now. Tom insists he has no choice, admitting that he planted the files in Joe's room to turn Janet against him. Unbeknownst to Tom, Cameron overhears the confession and follows him back to the Shanghai Palace. He attacks Tom, who shoots him in the leg. Tom orders Joe into the command center. As they go, Joe asks Tom to write his mother and tell her that Joe died in an accident. Janet sneaks in and throws boiling water into Tom's face. He falls onto the stove and is set on fire. Joe puts him out with a fire extinguisher, but the only thing that got extinguished, sadly, was Tom's life. As Jermaine and Kat try to leave the country, they're arrested at the airport. Yet another pointless side trip in the B storyline. Moira and Chadwick Boseman take Cameron to his room. Afterward, Moira agrees to hear Chadwick out. He explains that a bomb maker killed 3 of his friends in Baghdad while he was on assignment. A contractor offered him $100,000 to kill the bomb maker. It turned out he was an accountant who was going to blow the whistle on the contractor's company. After they are strip searched, Stefano arrives and tells them he's made arrangements to get them out of the country. They follow his instructions and board, unaware that Stefano is in the cabin up front. I'm sorry, but why did we need to see them get stopped at the airport if they just end up going anyway? Janet and Joe return to his room and discover that the files are gone. She admits she overheard that he left the program because of her. When Joe complains about his back, he goes into the bathroom to get a hot towel to put on it. Janet talks about how she missed her daughter's birthday and she needs to escape. Joe tells her it's possible now that Tom is dead, but it will take hard work. Janet considers what he said, but goes into the bathroom and discovers that Joe has vanished. And there you have it. Episode 7, Smoke and Steel, an episode that didn't have much of either, but did have a lot of character reveals. We say goodbye to Tom, see a rift forming between Yonat, and watch Jermaine and Kat meander around the B-plot, trying to discover what we, the audience, already knows. 6 more episodes left. Moving on.